Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. So as you all should know by now, the 4-inch long range quads are a huge success, very popular. Darn near every manufacturer is getting involved, and now we have one more to add to the fray. Eachine. Eachine has a 4-inch long range, both in HD and analog, and it's called the Shadow Fiend. My friends over at Banggood sent me one to take a look at. Let's get it out of the box, put it on the bench, and see how it stacks up compared to the other offerings from the other manufacturers. So here it is. This is the Eachine Shadow Fiend. This is how it comes packaged in the box. This is the analog version with no receiver on it. Couldn't be bothered to send me one with those things, apparently. In the box, you get your quad, you get an extra little rubber battery mat, a second LiPo strap, 2 sets of Hurricane 4024 1.5 millimeter hole props, and a little baggie of extra screws. These all look M2-ish to me. And that's it. Not a whole lot of extra fluff in the box. Like I said, this one does not come with a receiver. It does have a little pigtail here, but there's only 3 wires, so this is definitely going to be a S-bus setup. We'll get in here and see how it's connected to the flight controller. So all the long-range quads are coming with a very long FPV antenna, I think. And the farther you get it away, the farther away it gets from the battery, the better reception you're going to get. This is the best way to set up a FPV antenna, in my opinion. Certainly more fragile and more prone to damage in a crash, but especially for long-range flying, which is what this is exactly aimed for. So as you can see, it's going to be all 20 by 20 flight controller. It has a 20 by 20 mounted VTX in the rear, and the motors. These are really nice looking motors. A 1404 2750 kV, so definitely a 4S, Eachine branded, of course. 1.5 millimeter shafts. These are T-mount. If you don't know what T-mount is, it's this where it has the 4 mounting screw holes rather than like this with one big nut at the top. If we flip this over, we can see we have only 3 screws mounting each motor. They went for, instead of a 4th mounting hole, they went for a cool little flame design. Really thin on the carbon here, probably going to break in a crash. But I have to mention that these frames are all kind of fragile to, 1, keep them light, and 2, you're not supposed to be crashing these things. This is not an acro basher, go out, practice flippy floppies. This is for someone who knows how to fly and can keep the battery side up while flying for a long time. The most amount of crash this thing should have is when you disarm to land it in front of you. But as you see, they decided to kind of cut this little demon looking face inside of it, a little rib cage, eyes, nose, mouth. Kind of neat, but unfortunately they overlooked one of the most important things, is the direction of the carbon fiber on the arms, and as a result she's a little flippy floppy, a little flexible. So it's going to do one of 2 things. 1, it may actually survive a crash better, but your arms will bend. But sometimes you can actually bend the arms back, but you're definitely not going to have the rigidity that you should have. Frame geometry being what it is, sometimes you can't always get the carbon fiber lays to go in a straight line. And unfortunately, there was no effort on this one to make that. This is not a dead cat style, so you are most likely going to have props in view while you're flying, and I don't see an option for a dead cat design. I went ahead and weighed this, and as you see it like this, no props, no hardware, no LiPo, no receiver, this is 123 grams. So keep that in mind. If you're in a world where you have to stay below the 250 gram mark, this might be an option, but you got to be very careful about the components you select for it. So let's go ahead and get the top off of it and see what we have inside. So once we got the top plate off, you're greeted by a 20 by 20 flight controller. This is solder free, basically. Everything is on pin headers. It's not my favorite way to do things, but it does make it very easy, especially if you have to do any repairs. As you can see here, this is intended to be our receiver wire, and we have ground 5 volts and RC. I'm assuming that's going to be inverted S-bus. This is a F4 flight controller. In the front we have our ESC connection, we have our camera connection, and this one here is our VTX. And since we have 4 wires, we know we do have smart audio or VTX telemetry control via one of these wires. In the back, we have our VTX, again mounted to a 20x20 kind of layout, uses a UFL. This VTX, unfortunately, only goes up to 300 milliwatts. 300 milliwatts is probably not enough to be able to consider it, you know, long range. You'd want at least 800 milliwatts. This might be just a fun, long-ish distance cruiser. I don't know how far we're going to get with 300 milliwatts. So keep that in mind if you are looking at this one. The camera up front is the Caddx Turbo EOS 2. It is a very nice little camera, and this is a 4:3 only camera. So keep that in mind if you're the person that does like the 16:9 view in your goggles. You're not going to get it with this without it being distorted, because this is only 4:3. But if you're a 4:3 fan, good job. I like 4:3 better. So this flight controller is not soft mounted in any way. It is hard mounted with nylon standoffs. Again, it should be fine for the purpose. Not really supposed to be crashing this thing. It's not going to survive a crash very well. But I don't think any of these 4-inch long ranges will do that. So let's go ahead and get this flight controller freed up. This board does seem very simple at first blush, but when you flip it over, you really see that there are an awful lot of pads broken out. SDA, SCL. UARC1 is here, 5 volts and ground there. You've got RC signal here, LED, 3.3 volt buzzer, video in, video out, 5 volts ground, S bus, I bus here, and looks like UARC5 is also right there. So a lot of available UARTs underneath the flight controller. Under the flight controller we have, this is just a standard 20x20 ESC, 20 amp, 3 to 6S, and it's just a BL Heli S, not BL Heli 32, so nothing special there. And we can take a look at the soldering job, and it doesn't look bad at all. This is very acceptable, and we can see if we're using motor telemetry or ESC telemetry, so we got ground, power, and then our 4 signals, so no UARTs being used for ESC telemetry. So no gross errors, everything looks pretty standard. So unfortunately, the way this comes set up, adding crossfire to it is going to be a little more involved than just using an S-bus connection like what they already have on there. Now you can use your crossfire receiver in S-bus mode with only 3 wires, power, ground, and S-bus, but why would you want to do that? If you have the option for CRSF protocol in Betaflight, then why don't you use it? But if you just want something where it was just plug and play, you can still use your crossfire receiver for this. You have to configure your crossfire receiver to output S-bus and not CRSF. So here's a quick diagram of the flight controller here, just so you can see how you would connect, say, an FR Sky receiver to the underside of the board, and also which ports are utilized. This thing does have 6 UARTs on, which is pretty crazy for a 20x20. It's pretty crazy for a 20x20 F4. And if we want to use TBS Crossfire, we're going to use that RX and TX for UART5 underneath the board. And XSR is going to hook up exactly the same as a R9. And it's going to use UART6. So this is UART6 here. All right, so I'm going to put this thing back together, solder up a crossfire receiver, head out to the field, and put it through its paces. See how it compares to the other 2 long-range quads that I've used. I've used the Flywoo Explorer with the Vista and the iFlight Camaro with the Vista. Now, there's a little bit of difference between all of them. The KVs are different on the motors, and the frame geometry is different. See what kind of flight time I get on it. I haven't used an analog one yet, so this is going to be kind of interesting, although it is only 300 milliwatts. And I honestly have no idea what polarization this antenna is. It's not marked anywhere. I'm assuming it's right-hand if Eachine's done their homework, because most people are right-handed antennas with analog, but left-hand with digital, because that's just the way DJI works. All right, so we'll button it up. We'll be right back. All right, folks, back out at the field. Well, more or less like a pasture. That's what it is. With the Eachine Shadow Fiend 4-inch long range. This is the analog version. So let's go ahead and get in the goggles. I've had this thing plugged in for probably a good 5 minutes. I still have 0 satellites. So we're going to go down to features, failsafe, GPS rescue, and arm without fix. We're going to turn to yes, because I'm not planning on failsafing, at least where I'm at, and if I did, I really don't want GPS rescue to help me out. And we're going to save reboot. All right, let's get her up. We do get that indication that rescue mode is off. And we'll just start doing laps. See how this compares to the Flywoo Explorer and also the iFlight Camaro, which both of those were on DJI, and I can already tell right now that the range on the DJI was way better. Wow. This VTX is not very good. But then again, you know, I'm not flying with patches on. I don't have a goggle setup for long range really. So we'll just go ahead and kind of putz around. There's a cat rubbing itself on my legs. That's always fun.
1 minute.
Thank you, Miss Tango. We're at 1 minute. Now, instantly flying around here, I feel way more uncomfortable in analog than I did with digital. Just because you can see so much more with digital. And it's not an apples to apples comparison because I think the digital is putting out a whole like 700 milliwatts.
30 seconds.
This is 300. Probably 300 on its best day. I doubt it's even doing that. I should probably put it on the bench and hook the old immersion RC
20 seconds.
milliwatt thingy to it. See what we're getting. These stupid horses are destroying my fences. I count the boards.
10,
I gotta go get more.
9,
Shut up.
8, 7, 6,
1,
5,
2, 3,
4,
4.
3, 2, 1. Timer 1 elapsed.
I guess I saw 4 wrecked boards. Five, 6, yeah, 6 boards. And oh man, they broke a ton over here. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Ugh. Folks, not a fan of horses. Just putting it out there. Eat money, shit problems. That's all they do. Where are they? Oh, they're both over here. Yep, cat. It's a big fluffy cat. Super friendly. So I can't do my kind of laps that I was doing with the DJI system because the breakup is just so bad up here. Still no satellites. I don't know what's going on with the GPS. Got really slow. I'm flying this with Crossfire. I didn't do a great job installing it. I just kind of taped the flexible antenna to the arms. I wasn't really planning on doing any serious long range on it. I know it's not going to do it just because of that paltry 300 milliwatt VTX that's in it. That's not enough. So we're at 10 minutes, 3.66 volts. There's a cat in front of me again. Cat, what are you doing? My spotter's not helping me out at all, thanks. Really appreciate it. You can't see my spotter. It's out of camera, out of frame. Very easy to control this thing. Does just kind of sit there, you know? I mean, it's not DJI stable, but it's pretty stable. There's a little bit of a breeze here, not much. I think the motors on this thing are really nice. I do really like the motors. This thing on a lithium-ion pack, I'm kind of curious what your flight time would be. It's not going to be proportionately better because you also have to offset the extra weight of that lithium-ion pack. But maybe I'll do a video on how to build a lithium-ion pack. Would you guys want to see that? Leave a comment in the video description if you want to see that. Stupid cat. Scares the shit out of me every time he does that. Do some pretty precision, low and slow type stuff. Yeah, the motors are really good. The right size of the right KV, matched with the right props. I'm very happy with the way the motors perform. Tune, not so much. I know this cat's gonna knock over my camera at some point. I'm sure she's sitting on it. You guys are gonna see nothing but cat butt in the screen. Hey, editor, can you go ahead and just speed this stuff up? I'm sure people don't want to listen to me. They want to watch 14 plus minutes of just flying around the pasture. We're getting a low battery at 3.5. And I'll be honest, I'm getting kind of bored. So let's land it at 3.5. It should jump back up to about 3.6, 3.7. And yeah. There we go. 16 minutes and 36 seconds. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. All right, so that was the Eachine Shadow Fiend. So what do I think of this? Well, basically, it does what it's supposed to do. It flies great. It's built fairly well. There are a few little deficiencies here and there, like the way the frame's cut and whatnot. But overall, this is a great little buy. But when you go out to purchase something like this, you really need to look at what else is available on the market, like the Flywoo Explorer or like the iFlight Chimera. They're all pretty much in the same ballpark as far as price goes. This is only a few dollars less than the Flywoo, the OG, the one that started it all. You need to check the specs of all the quads that are available and see what works for you. See what kind of a layout you want. Do you want dead cat? Do you not care about dead cat? This does fly better than the Flywoo Explorer, at least I think so. And I think a lot of it has to do with the KV of the motors, and it's not a dead cat frame. The dead cat frame does affect the way the quad handles. This does handle quite a bit more like the iFlight Chimera than the Flywoo Explorer. These are all things you got to take into consideration when you do decide to purchase one of these things. As it sits with an 850 milliamp 4S battery, this is about 235 grams. So if you're trying to keep under that magic 250 gram mark that the world seems to be after, no problem here. You might even have a little bit left over for a naked GoPro Hero 6 if you were to step down to, say, like a 650 milliamp 4S pack. You'd still get plenty of flight time. So that's a review of the Eachine Shadow Fiend. I hope you like what I'm doing here. If you do, please like, subscribe, hit that bell icon down there, hit the subscribe button, and let me know what you think. Do you want to see me make a 4S lithium-ion pack for this thing? I don't know, if there's enough interest, I'll go ahead and do it. The tune's not great on this. If you want me to go ahead and spend the time to tune this, I will. I don't know if I will. I don't know if there's going to be enough interest in this particular quad. I want to thank Banggood again for supporting me and sending me products for review. This was sent to me by Banggood for review, so definitely click that affiliate link in the bottom. Also down there, you'll find a link to the Flywoo Explorer and the iFlight Chimera. I really like the iFlight Chimera and the Flywoo Explorer are both excellent quads, and this ain't too bad itself. So Anyways, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking this out. And if you have any questions, please feel free to hit me up down there. Go to www.tweetfpv.com to find all things TweetFPV related, links to my Discord, email address, and other affiliate links if you want to passively support me. And if you want to be a big supporter of mine, you can go and support me through Patreon. I would greatly appreciate it. So thanks for coming by, and thanks for checking this out. I hope you like this, and I'll see you next time. Stay safe.